Drinking water. Well, in the U.S., you can buy all kinds of bottled water. Somebody here at the conference mentioned there's more than 100 different kinds of bottled water out there. But I think most people want to, if they have access to a water tap, first of all, which I guess is a key point, because a lot of people in the world don't. But even if they do, even in the United States or throughout Europe or Sweden, whatever, wouldn't you think that people would like to say, all I need to do is turn on my tap and the water that comes out is going to be just excellent, pure, great. But is it?
Well, in many countries it is. I mean, here in Sweden, there's no need to buy bottled water, for example, even if people do that. We have excellent tap water quality, and in most areas in the United States, you have the same excellent quality also. But that depends, of course, on where you are in the world. I mean, I would get sick, and you would get sick if we drank the tap water in certain countries. So it depends on where you are, and of course the ambition here is to just as you say, to make all tap water all over the world drinkable quality, and that's manageable. We know that the technique is there. I mean, in some countries and in some areas in the United States also, I mean, they turn wastewater into drinking water. So that you can actually drink it. The technique is there. I mean, you can with new membranes and so on filter the water so that only the small tiny water molecule is remaining and nothing else.
No, well, here's another issue, and we're running out of time, unfortunately, right now. You have a time limit. But a key issue that I've been reading about, and I wonder if you have a thought about it in this regard, is all the pharmaceuticals and drugs, medications that people take and they expel through their bodies, or they dump out of the bottle into the sink or the toilet. It goes into the water supplies. Modern cities and the filtration systems of the cities do not filter these things out, so I've read.
No.
So we're all drinking drugged water in a sense.
Yeah.
Is that a key issue too to look at, would you say? Is that being addressed?
It's not really, well, on the research side it's being addressed. There's a lot of research going on. And what we've seen so far is that it has had actually effects on life. I mean, microbial life, insects, and to some extent fish in certain rivers where there's a very heavy contamination of these kind of substances. And we've seen that. The estimate so far has been that the concentrations of these substances are far below the level where they would actually have an effect on us humans.
But still,
exactly, still. I mean, there is a risk there. These medications, these pharmaceuticals are produced to have a certain effect on our bodies, and you should take them when you need them, and not when you don't need them. So I think, this is still an issue that we need to really look into further.
Well, since we have a time limit, I'm going to ask you just one or two more questions at the most right now. I'm sorry, but we have a time limit. To resolve these issues, the water issues specifically, purity of water and access to pure water on a global basis, what do you recommend must be done to accomplish those goals?
Well, there are two main issues, and one issue that we haven't really addressed here is the kind of situation that you're facing in certain parts of the USA where you have actually a lack of the water resource as such. I mean, down in southwestern United States, there is a severe problem with
droughts.
There are droughts. And the prime reason for that is not the use that we have in our households, because that is actually a rather small portion of all the water that we are abstracting from rivers and lakes and groundwaters and so on. The big user of water is agriculture.
Oh, to grow crops.
Yeah, to grow crops. 70% on a global scale of all the water that is abstracted from rivers and streams and lakes and groundwater is for crop production. And only 10% on a global scale is for the kind of use that we have in households. So if we are going to increase the amount of water that is available for households, for Las Vegas, you need to actually address the water use in agriculture and be much more water efficient in agriculture when you are producing your crops. Thereby, you could save water so that we have room for an expanding Las Vegas. And that is the same for other areas around the world, the Yellow River, the Indus, and so on, facing the same kind of problem. Overexploitation from the agricultural side is causing enormous constraints on the urban concentrations that we have in these areas.
So you're saying that technologically there are better, more, can I say the word, more parsimonious ways of using water for agricultural needs that would be sufficient for those needs and would free up more water for people to drink directly and use directly in their homes.
Yeah. And this is about management within agriculture and ensuring that you don't use more water than what the plant actually requires to grow. There's a lot of water wasted and being evaporated back to the atmosphere without going through the crop and producing the food that we actually need, but just being wasted.
Are we in a situation where, as I've heard some people here at this conference suggest, currently water is, in a sense, the new oil, and we're at a peak, and it's sort of downhill from here unless we pay more attention to improving the water situation technologically and politically?
We have today, on a global scale, 1.2 billion people who live in regions and within river basins that are so-called water stressed, where there is a real scarcity situation. And that figure could grow to 3 billion people in 2025. And for those regions, yes, you could say that we are reaching now sort of a peak water, where the supply is declining and there isn't any more room for development. So from that perspective, in those regions where you have this situation, yeah, I think you could talk about a peak water. But in other areas of our world, there is plenty of water.
Okay. If people want more information about your organization or this whole issue, is there a website that you would suggest, maybe your organizations, for example?
Yes, the www.siwi.org.
SIWI.
Exactly.
.org.
Yep.
Mr. Berntell, thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you.
Thank you for your
pleasure.
views. Well,
Thank you.
I thought so too.
Yeah.
And thank you for being with us too. Again, my guest has been Anders Berntell, Executive Director of SIWI, the Stockholm International Water Institute, and I'm here in Stockholm as we tape tonight's show. I'm Steve Steinberg. You've been watching Dazzle Unlimited. I'll see you next week on another episode of Dazzle Unlimited. Thanks for being here. Good night. Do